Welcome to the Writing with Purpose podcast, where I, Anna Woolliscroft, chat with fellow writers and outdoor enthusiasts about how we can embrace creativity and curiosity to live a life full of adventure that doesn't feel like hard work. I delve into exploratory conversations about my two loves in life, writing and nature connection, as part of my mission to share the wellbeing benefits they both bring. It's wonderful to have you here today. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Writing with Purpose podcast. Now, this is a new year. It's the second episode of 2024, but last time I recorded an episode, it wasn't quite New Year's Eve. So I did share the fact that I had no clue what I was going to do. So I thought that I would just kick off this episode by letting you know that I had a very relaxed and uneventful New Year's Eve. So my partner and I, we watched a film, we had a glass of iced Baileys, we ate some fudge, and that was about it, really. We watched a little bit of television. We didn't watch the fireworks. We didn't go out anywhere. It was a bit of a wet and miserable evening, really. But you know what? I enjoyed it. And that's part of what today's episode is going to be all about. It's going to be about how to create a more joyful life. So last episode, we also mentioned about a word for 2024, which is something that a lot of people seem to be sharing these days, rather than setting a lot of goals, setting New Year resolutions, which never seem to be kept for more than a few weeks. But this word of a new year seems to be quite popular and is gaining in popularity. So I thought I would just share with you that my word for the year, which wasn't really decided, it would just seem to pop into my head when I was having a conversation with Cassie and EJ over on the Soulful Reawakening podcast. And my word was nurturing. So what does nurturing mean? What does it mean to you? Well, for me, it was more about nurturing myself. So looking after myself this year, getting some self-care time in, and really just making sure that I am staying healthy, both physically and mentally, and finding ways to nurture that healthy me for 2024. So some of that is going to include single ingredient cooking. And I had a fabulous evening the other day, flicking through different magazines, recipe books, and finding some really wholesome recipes that I can create in the kitchen. And one thing, I've just got to share this, I've been sharing this with everybody over the last week or so, was it was a dish that was, so it was passata, so tomato sauce, feta cheese, spinach, a can of butter beans, black pepper, salt. I think there was a couple of other spices in there, and it was absolutely delicious. So more of that is definitely going to be what I'm going to be doing this year. And you'd let me know in the comments, send me an email to hello@writingwithpurpose.co.uk if you want me to share recipes and things like that I find are helping to nurture myself. Then I would love to do so, but obviously don't want to share things that people are not going to find of value. And a few other points that will help me nurture myself is exercise. Now that's a big thing that people do in a new year. I always exercise anyway, so it's nothing new, but I want to try some different varieties of exercise. So if you've heard me talk before, you will have heard me mention my love for trail running, my love just for getting outside, walking, hiking, running in general. But I want to do some things a little bit differently. I want to get out on the bike a little bit more because it uses different muscles, swimming, general aerobics, relax, and also to gain some more strength and flexibility. Really, this is something that we need to concentrate on when we get a little bit older. We need to make sure that our muscles and our joints, we are strong. Resistance training is very important. Drink more water as well. Stay hydrated. I have my purple litre bottle of water in front of me. I've not drunk that much today, actually, so as soon as I finish recording, I'll have a few gulps of that. And also to practice less waste. So, that can be in many forms. Less waste, just turning the tap on and letting the tap run. That's a waste of water, waste of food. Where can we perhaps pop some leftovers and make a nice tasty soup out of that? Repurposing clothes. So there's all sorts of things that we can do to reduce our waste. So that's something else that I want to try and do more of in 2024. And all those things help to nurture myself. So ultimately, of course, spending time on yourself, nurturing yourself helps to create more joy in life, because you feel better. You go more positive about things, because you don't feel tired the same. You haven't got those aches and pains because you're eating nutritious food, you're exercising. So all of those things do help us to feel much, much better. And let's face it, for our time here on earth in our human bodies, let's enjoy it. There's no place for anger, for pain, waste, conflict, all those things that there's a place to have those negative emotions. Of course, it helps us to learn lessons. It helps us to realize that certain things aren't serving us well, but we are here to enjoy ourselves. Let's face it. So let's stop wasting time doing things that we don't enjoy and make it happen. We have a choice at the end of the day. And one thing I've just jotted down in some notes really is, I watched a film over the Twixmas period. It was a Disney Pixar film called Inside Out. And if you haven't seen this, definitely watch it. It was one of those things that I thought, I don't really want to watch this, but it was put on anyway, and it was absolutely brilliant. It's a story about an 11-year-old who has their life turned upside down when they move house with their parents. And it's about the emotions and how externally events can impact our inner thoughts, and then consequently the decisions and the behaviours that come about based on our emotions. So there's the emotion of joy, and joy leads sadness, anger, fear, and disgust in how little Riley, who is the main character of the story, feels as far as the move goes. And it's well worth a watch, and actually pretty accurate in the portrayal, I believe, of how emotions affect us and how we sort of fall into an emotional turmoil in times. But be prepared with this film that I had a tear in my eye, my partner had a tear in my eye. I think sometimes these cartoons and these CGI animated films that are meant for kids, they've definitely got two levels in them. And for me, I just end up trying to keep back the tears and pretend that I don't have wet eyes as I'm watching this. So yeah, anyway, that is a great film to watch, and watch it and get some realizations out of it as to how to get some more joy in your life. And another great podcast series, an audio series that I listened to towards the end of last year was Darren Brown's Boot Camp for Emotion. Now, he's done a few boot camps, Darren Brown, and love him or hate him, because I know he's a little bit like Marmite for some people. This was a really, really good series, and he talks about emotions. He drops in some of his own realizations, but he also chats to people that have got a story to tell. He chats to people who have who are fully trained in behaviours, cognitive behavioural therapy, psychology, counsellors. So there's a lot of good stuff in there that you can pick up out of this series. And he looks at fear, jealousy and envy, shame, love, boredom, sadness, and anger. So there's a separate episode on each one, and then a conclusion for them. And there's a lot of moments throughout this series that you can relate to. And in particular, boredom made me smile. I actually had a friend that sent me a message who'd listened to this series before me, and she says, I hope you don't mind, but the boredom episode reminded me of you, and if you listen to it, I hope you see why. And I thought, what is she trying to say? Am I always bored all the time? Do I get bored with people? I don't think that I do. But when I listened to this episode about halfway through, I knew exactly what she meant, because there was a person in the episode, and she was really fed up with life, and she went to do a creative writing master's at university, and that led her down a completely different path of life, which is kind of the crossroads that I'm at the moment. So if you've listened to an episode before or followed me, you'll know that I started a master's in autumn last year in creative writing and wellbeing. So it is definitely taking me down different paths too. So this first section I've started talking about was our words for wellness section, and I failed to actually say that at the start, but yeah, this is all about words for wellness. So thinking about, the word of the year, nurturing. What can you write about nurturing yourself? And this is a great thing to think about, a great concept to think about, and to grab your journal, get a pen, get a pencil, and just write what that means to you. And I'd like to share the following journal prompts for you to ponder, and they are: what brings joy to your life? And feel free to write freely about this. Pause me if you want to do it in real time as I share these prompts with you, or make a note of them now and then return to them when you have more time. So what brings joy to your life? And list 5 daily things that make you smile, and describe each of those things in detail, and particularly pay attention to why they bring you joy. And also, how long does the happiness that these things create last for? So is it for a few seconds? Is it for a few minutes? Is it something that happens that you think about regularly that makes you smile later on in the evening, days down the line, months down the line, or things that really do embed a memory for you that you can refer back to and recall? And have a think about these things, and what steps can you take to bring more joy into your life? And this could be something that you've never done before. It could be something that you want to do more of, or it could actually be stopping something. So, you might feel more joyful if you are perhaps not slumped on the sofa watching TV. So therefore, stop watching television, stop binge watching these latest box set series, and get yourself out doing something. Something that really does bring you joy, that brings memories, rather than just, a really simple conversation with a friend. What is it that you can start doing more of? And who do you want to be with you when these sessions of joy, you're experiencing these sessions of joy? And where do you want to be, and what do you want to be doing? So plenty of prompts there for you to think about, and to get scribbling in your journal. And to make 2024 a joyous year. So let's move on to nature, the next part of the podcast episode, and discovering a nourishing connection with nature. And I want to share a little story with you. So my partner and I, we did a park run on New Year's Day. Now, if you're not familiar with park run, it is a worldwide phenomenon. Since I'm not sure since when, not that long ago actually, it's not been going for that long, but essentially it is a 3 mile or a 5 kilometre run in a local park. I say run, you can walk it as well. There are people there that run with pushchairs, there are people there that just walk at the back, and there are people there that start off with a 3 mile run and then continue elsewhere afterwards and continue their run. So on this particular park run, It was very cold that morning, and the particular route that we were doing is at Queen's Park in Crewe in Cheshire. Now, the park run comprises of 3 laps of the park and then a tiny little bit extra on the end to obviously get up the distance and hit the finish line. But on my last lap, I'd seen, I think there was 3 people standing at the bottom of a bank. And they were there for definitely the second run. And I think I've got some recollection of them walking to this point on the first lap. Third lap, they were still there. And as I was coming down, I thought, what's going on here? I don't know. Something just happened in my brain that made me think, look and see what are they doing? And I realised that there was actually a kingfisher in the tree just beyond these people. And I've actually never seen a kingfisher before in the feathers, so to speak. So it actually stopped me in the tracks. The vivid blue, green, orange of the kingfisher stopped me in my tracks. So I forgot all about my personal best. I forgot all about running and finishing the park run as soon as I could. My partner didn't realise I'd stopped. He was gone off in the distance, but I had to stop, get my phone out, take a photograph of this kingfisher because it was such a gorgeous sight, and I could not let that. I couldn't just run past and not capture the sight of it. Who knows? I might never see a kingfisher again. So I researched what a kingfisher symbolised afterwards because I thought that's got to be a sign. It was the first day of 2024. It was beautiful. I've told so many people about this. I'm smiling now as I'm telling you about it. So I definitely took that as a promising start for a new year. But a kingfisher symbolises peace and abundance. And it also brings encouragement to us to see the unknown as precursor to much better things. So, there might be challenges ahead. There might be things that you think, oh, I'm never going to get over that, or that's really going to be tough. I really don't know how to approach that, how to overcome that. And really, the kingfisher is there to say, look, it's going to be okay. There's going to be much better things. At the end of the rainbow, across the bridge, across the water, however you want to assign a metaphor to help you understand what that means. So yeah, I'd been struggling a little bit over Christmas with my university assignments. I'd got completely bogged down with one of them. I had rewritten it so many times, overthought it, and I was it just dragged me down a little bit. So, seeing this kingfisher just made me think, actually, you're learning at the moment. All of this hard work is going to come into fruition, not now, but further on down the line. And just, stay positive and, take on that peace and abundance, take things in your stride, and, what you're seeking will come into fruition. So I will take that, and thank you, little bird, little kingfisher. Let's get 2024 off to a productive and focused start is how I interpreted that. So and I think that is when you get outside in nature more, you do tend to spot these things. You notice things, you observe things a little bit more. So in the back of my head, I was, what are those people standing there for? They weren't participating in park run, but why would they be hanging around somewhere where all these runners are going past them? Why not just move out of the way a little bit more? And that made me notice and be more inquisitive as to what was there. And it was then that my eyes caught this vibrancy of the kingfisher in the background. So, being in nature really does help you to become more aware of things around you. It sort of ignites your senses, and you can pick up on the beauty around you and spot those signs and those symbols that might mean a little bit more to you. So I encourage you to definitely get out there more. See 2024 as a year when you can build your nature connectiveness, build however you see connecting with nature. It might be It might be just going for regular walks at lunchtime, maybe in the evenings with your family. It might even include bringing more plants into the office, bringing the outside inside. Or what about starting a new outdoor hobby such as paddleboarding or rowing, or something where it encourages you to get outside, breathe in the fresh air, help to expand your mind, all of those things that nature connectedness brings you. And one of the things that I just want to share with you that I've committed to for 2024 as far as nature is concerned is I've committed myself to running at a minimum of 4 times every week. Now, of course, that's a fitness goal as well, but I don't go to the gym to run. I don't jump on a treadmill. I always go outside. The majority of my runs are across muddy fields, trail tracks, around rivers, over rivers, through streams sometimes. But I'm committed to doing 4 times a week. I've achieved that so far this week. I've been out 4 times. I've run about 17 miles in total, and it's cold at the moment, yes, but I've stayed warm because I'm moving. And just an example of some of the beautiful things that you spot when you're outside. There's a gorgeous sunrise. Looking the other morning, I think it might have been Thursday morning, it was like there was a lava river in the sky. This sunrise was such a vibrant orange. It was gorgeous. Spotted horses nibbling on hay, having their breakfast in the morning, and these kind of things, they really do set me up for the day when I go in the morning. And running in the evening as well just helps to kind of finish off a good productive day. And if it's been a tough day, then it just helps to re-energize me. So yeah. And here are some journaling prompts for you to help with your nature connection. So what are your nature connection intentions for 2024? And just free write what comes into your mind after listening to that sentence. There's no right or wrong with any of these journaling prompts. Just simply write what you feel, what you think, and see where it leads. And how do you want to feel this year? Describe your desired mood and list how nature could help to support this. So could it be walking? Could it be running? Could it be cranking open your office window to get a little bit more fresh air in? Or, as I've said before, could it be perhaps starting a new hobby, or maybe just picking up the frequency of a hobby that you have, or the amount of times that you go outside? Whatever it means to you is going to be the right thing for you. And finally, when you're out in nature, do look for signs and symbols that highlight you're on the right path, or that mean something to you. And rather than just sort of poo-pooing that or forgetting about it in the moment, think a little bit more deeply about this. What could this mean? What could this be a sign for? And really do assign some curiosity to that. And then also have a think about what animals or birds or flowers or anything in nature, really, what calls to you, and why do you think that calls to you? So, this kingfisher on New Year's Day really did call to me, and it encouraged me to go and research what they symbolised. I did a social media post about it. I'm talking about it on this podcast, and I've included it in my newsletter as well. So it really did mean a lot to me at the time. So yeah, just check in and really do consider these things that you notice and that you observe. Okay. And finally, for our creativity section, something that I really am trying to do more of, is I wanted to share a book with you that I've been listening to on Audible. And it's called Personality Isn't Permanent, by a guy called Benjamin Hardy, who is an organizational psychologist and author. Now, I had never heard of him before. I came across this book when I was researching self-limiting beliefs for university. And the sentence that kind of pulled me in was in the write-up. It said, a personality test nearly ruined my life. And I thought, oh, this is interesting, because I love a personality test. But I have to admit, I always think that they are somewhat limiting. And although the personality tests say that that this is just your sort of ideal traits or your ideal the identity that you relate to more and you can change, I do think that a lot of people take these personality tests and think, okay, well, that's just me. That's the reason why I'm this way. That's the reason why that happens. And that's kind of a fixed mindset. It's not really instilling any kind of growth mindset in that sort of narrative. So this book really did kind of, again, it was like the Kingfisher. It was another one of those signs. I've got to read this, and I'm already halfway through probably 3 other books, but I started listening to this when I was on the train going down to London, and I've almost finished it now. So yeah, it drew me in, and a couple of things I wanted to share with you that really have stood out to me so far is, again, it's a new year. People tend to set New Year's resolutions. They tend to set new goals, implement goals perhaps that they haven't achieved before. And one of the things that I noticed is that a lot of goals tend to be, things or processes, or, I want to achieve X amount of money, for example, or I want to finish this project, for example. I have never heard anyone say focus on the goal of someone, having someone to work towards. And this is what Benjamin Harvey is trying to get over in part of his book. And that someone for you to focus on is your future self. And then I read this and I thought, wow, that's a brilliant way to think about who do you want to be this next year. And also, of course, that would then lead you on to, well, how do I want to act? What things do I need to change? And what self-limiting beliefs are preventing me from being this future person of my future self? And when you think about it, your future self is going to be extremely different to who you are today. Who you are today is extremely different to who you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, possibly even 5 days ago, because we see things differently. We go through experiences, things happen. You listen to a book, you have a conversation with a friend, you see something on a billboard, on the television, you hear something on the radio, and it changes the way that you see things. It changes your perspective. So this I thought was absolutely brilliant, and it's definitely a new approach for me, one I'm going to adopt, and one that I am going to build on in my journal. So, who is my future self? And I'd love to know what you think about this. Drop me a comment, send an email to hello@writingwithpurpose.co.uk. What do you think about having that goal of focusing on someone new, your future self? And I've paraphrased some of the points that Benjamin Hardy talks about in his book as journal prompts for you to think about, and also to give you a head start in illustrating your future self. So have a think about what your future self will look like, free from any perceived limits that you might have now. So all of those kind of narratives about I'm not good enough, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough time. Now, just ignore all of those, and who do you really want to be? And just free write that person. What does your day-to-day life look like as that person? What do you do for work, or how do you make your money? How much money do you make? What do you stand for? So, what sort of causes, what is important to you? What are your fors and what are your againsts? What clothes do you wear? What hobbies do you have? And who are your friends? So really come up with a person. And if you do any kind of marketing, or if you do anything for business, you might have come across customer avatars, and creating this sort of ideal client that you would write for, pitch to. Well, think about this person as your future self. Who is the ideal person that you want to step into their shoes? And this gives you a great start of something to work towards. And why not do that at the start of a new year? And of course, keep that somewhere quite prominent in your journal and refer to it every so often. How are you staying on track? How are you morphing into this new someone, this future self. And I'll certainly share a little bit more about this in my journey. And I think there's a lot more lessons from this particular book that I want to share to you guys. And so I will definitely be revisiting this. So what I would love to end on with this podcast episode, thank you very much for listening, is to just take a look in the mirror. And you've got everything that you need already, and that is staring back at you in that mirror right now as you look at it. So everything you need to be creatively conscious, live life to the fullest, is already inside you. You've got what it takes to achieve that joy that you want to create more of in life. You have what it takes to nurture a nourishing connection with nature, and you have what it takes to be creatively the person that you perceive that you want to be as your future self. And of course, journaling, which I'm a big promoter of, will help you to tease these things out. So please do use a journal as much as possible. If you have any questions about the process, then let me know. Subscribe and leave a review. I would love to know what you think, so that other people can find us and listen to some of the value that I'm sharing in these podcasts. And I will end on a simple quote from Bob Proctor, which is, "It doesn't matter where you are nowhere compared to where you can go." Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening to today's Writing with Purpose podcast. Having conversations with fellow writers or adventure enthusiasts brings two of my biggest loves in life together: writing and nature connection. I've been a copywriter and content creator for 23 years, but my passion is writing for wellbeing, and I'm on a mission to share the benefits that putting pen to paper has for personal wellness with as many people as possible. If you want to learn more about writing for your wellbeing and journaling techniques, please connect with me in my Facebook group, Journaling with Anna.